we have to do is find a way to divide and conquer the people who are on assistance. We have to show respect for that woman who has cerebral palsy and had no choice in her condition, that needs help and that we should help. And we need to get those folks to look down at these people who choose to get into a condition that makes them dependent on the government and say, at some point, you're on your own. We may end up taking care of those babies, but we're not going to take care of you. And we've got to start having that serious discussion. It won't happen next year. Wrong time, because it's going to be politically charged. One of the reasons why I may never run for another elected office is because some of these things may just get me railroaded out of town.
Now, it turns out he didn't get railroaded out of town. That was the man who is now the Republican candidate for United States Senate in North Carolina against incumbent Democratic Senator Kay Hagan. His name's Thom Tillis. He's currently the Speaker of the House in the North Carolina legislature. And that video of him talking about dividing and conquering the sick and the poor, turning the sick against the poor specifically. We're not taking care of you. That video is from 2011, and it had just quietly simmered on the internet 3 years until Thom Tillis got that Senate nomination, and suddenly it became important enough that people started digging through all his old tape. And now there's more. This new tape is from the Carolina Business Review. It was an interview that Mr. Tillis taped in 2012, but it has just been dug up and reposted by the muckrakers at Talking Points Memo. And of course, they've dug it up because Mr. Tillis is running for Senate. And if you're running for a United States Senate seat, it's now a matter of national curiosity if it turns out you've ever said something like this.
When you see this shift that Hispanics used to be in the Republican Party, and now they're clearly on the other side of the aisle, when you see all of these things that have transpired, what do you think about what is going on in the Republican Party?
Well, I think it has more to do with what's going on in the demographics of this country and recognizing that, and then having a platform and a message that resonates. The traditional population in North Carolina and in the United States is more or less stable. It's not growing. The African-American population is roughly growing, but the Hispanic population and the other immigrant populations are growing in significant numbers. We've got to resonate with those future voters.
So the traditional population is more or less stable. And that's different from the African-American population or the Hispanic population and the other immigrant populations. So what's the traditional population in this configuration? Talking Points Memo reached out to the Tillis campaign for an explanation. The campaign assured TPM that when he said traditional populations, he definitely didn't mean white people. They told TPM, quote, traditional North Carolinians refers to North Carolinians who have been here for a few generations. A lot of the state's recent population growth is from people who moved from other states to live, work, and settle down in North Carolina. Whether or not Republican Senate candidate Thom Tillis sees black and Hispanic populations as traditional North Carolina residents, they can vote, at least technically they can still vote. A Speaker of the North Carolina House, Thom Tillis, has ushered in new legislation that will make North Carolina one of the 15 states where there will be new rules in place for this year's 2014 elections that will make it more difficult to vote. Under Thom Tillis's leadership as House Speaker, North Carolina has passed what have been called the most draconian rollbacks of voting rights in the nation. The Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law said the voting bill that Thom Tillis shepherded through the legislature was the single worst bill we have seen introduced since voter suppression bills started sweeping the country. Provided that even non-traditional voters are able to cast their ballots in the North Carolina Senate race this fall, Thom Tillis rolling back voting rights is probably always going to be an issue for the Republicans in this North Carolina Senate race this fall. But now that Thom Tillis has also been dug up on tape explaining who exactly he considers to be a traditional North Carolina voter, the Thom Tillis-Kay Hagan Senate race just got tilted in a pretty significant way. I mean, this is sort of like George Allen and his macaca comments in the Virginia Senate race. This is like a guy turning up on tape saying he wants to divide the poor from the sick so we can conquer both of them, since he's neither. This is not the way you win a United States Senate seat in the state of North Carolina, not anymore at least. Watch this North Carolina Senate race over the next few days and weeks. Republicans thought they picked the perfect guy here when they picked Thom Tillis. But these two clips that you just saw, these have all just surfaced since they picked him for this nomination. What else is out there that still hasn't come out? Now it's time for the last word. Thanks for being with us tonight.